Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Mother-in-Law Stories. Which, like I've said before, it is exactly what it sounds like. So let's get started with the first story. My dear husband and I have been married for 3 years. We lived together for a year before that. My mother-in-law invades our lives constantly, but in a non-physical way. She almost never comes over without being invited or calling first. She says that is because her mother-in-law did that to her and she doesn't want to butt into our lives. Instead, she butts into our personal decisions and I just can't take it anymore. These are decisions about whether dear husband should quit his job or not, the house that we bought, where we should live, etc. She butts in and tries to change his mind about whatever decision he has come to, especially if I agree with this decision. Last year, his dad asked him if he wanted to go to a race, but it was on my birthday. It meant that he would have left before I woke up and gotten home after I had gone to sleep. He said no, because I would have been completely alone on my birthday. I moved to his hometown when we married, so I don't have friends or family there. I still hear about how it was my fault that he couldn't go. She makes passive-aggressive comments constantly. If I say anything about it, she says she was only joking and I'm too sensitive. I have tried to limit the times we go over there for dinner. My dear husband likes to go over on Sundays. The last time that we skipped 3 weeks in a row, it was a nightmare. She drilled him all night, asking why he was mad at her. She said that he shouldn't be mad at her because she called me cheap the last time we were there, because I am cheap. Then she began to grill him about his job. She said that he should quit his job because it was obviously making him unhappy, and he was taking his anger out on her by not going over. She was very upset with me when I encouraged him to take the job in the first place. She said that when he was unhappy with something, he always takes it out on her because she is the closest to him. His sister actually jumped in and told her to stop grilling him. She said, "I have the right to say whatever I want to my son." She always says she has the right to do things, and she doesn't care who she hurts in the process. When she asks questions about things that affect us both, he looks over to me to see what I think. Then she chastises him for not being able to make up his own mind. My dear husband knows, to a point, what is going on. He doesn't know what to do about it. He also thinks that I overreact sometimes. He says that I take it too personally, and that I should let it roll off my shoulders like he does. His excuse is that it's just the way she is. My relationship with mother-in-law has gotten a little tense in the past few months because of the pregnancy incident. One Sunday dinner, she had the nerve to ask about kids, but didn't even think about including me in the question, just him. When he looked at me and she was about to say something, I jumped in and said, without thinking or using my nice filter, "That's something between my husband and myself. When and if it happens, you'll know at the same time as the rest of the family." The look on her face was a mix between surprise and outrage. After that, she changed the topic and didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. I am afraid that she is going to cause the end of our marriage. I love my dear husband very, very much, but I don't know how much longer I can take this. I get along very well with my sister-in-laws, but they are younger and still live at home. They don't see it from the same perspective. My dear husband thinks that it is between her and that I should talk to her about it. But I am afraid of declaring war, and I feel that without his support, it will only make things worse, not better. I agree with OP. You need to have your husband's support when it comes to your mother-in-law if she is interfering in your relationship. I think he's just being lazy or he's afraid to confront his own mother. If I was in OP's position, I would share with him my fear and tell him that his mom's constant butting in is stressing me out to the point that I'm afraid it might break our marriage. Maybe that'll be a wake-up call. But again, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think OP should do? Alright, and now let's move on to the next story. My mother-in-law is consumed by jealousy. It has not bothered me much before. I did not think that her very unreasonable jealousy towards her husband, her brother, and other people in her life meant a warning sign for me. Well, after I had my baby 1 year ago, it all started. First of all, she knows no boundaries in terms of calling, visiting, etc. She feels that she can drop by anytime she wants, pick up her grandchild, and do with him whatever she thinks is right. She called me every day, 1,000 times a day, when I was just about to have a nap and gave me detailed instructions on how to handle childcare properly. I tried to be patient and polite. I never raised my voice at her, and I tried to explain to her very patiently why I was doing what I was doing. The problem is that she has no clue when it comes to babies. She did not raise her own, her mother did, but she wants to be the boss in our relationship and tell us what to do. She hurt me a lot by accusing me of my son's poor weight gain. He was not in the 99th percentile as her son was, but my son was exclusively breastfed. She told me on numerous occasions how my son did not develop normally. Needless to say that no one else saw that, and other stuff. She never volunteered to help me at night times. My son was not sleeping through the night for a long time. However, the real problem started when my mother, who is a retired teacher, stepped in and offered help. She was there when I needed her, day and night. My mother-in-law would call to make sure everything was right every day. She got so jealous. The only thing that bothered her was whether or not my son would love my mom more than her. Isn't it just ridiculous? She started demanding to see my baby every weekend. I had no problems with that. However, after watching her taking care of my son, I refused. She ignored everything I said. She insisted on giving him citrus juice, and he developed hives from it, but she just does not believe that orange juice could cause it. She never maintains the same schedule for my baby in terms of sleeping, feeding, and playing. My baby is very irritated and fuzzy after her visits. I do not trust her. I caught her doing things to him that I strongly object to. I have a very tough feeling when my baby is in their house. I feel that if I leave my baby with someone, I should be able to do something for myself. However, all I do is feel obsessed about his safety. To top it off, she called my mother. She has my son all week while we work, and accused her of not letting her see her grandchild. She hurt my mother a lot, and my mom is the one who is the primary caretaker of the baby right now. I feel so safe when the baby is with her. I watched my mother-in-law for a year, and I understood that she would do anything she thinks is right to my baby and then lie about it. The relationship with my husband is on the verge of divorce because of it. He made it clear to me that he would never let anyone hurt his mother's feelings. He wants her to have my baby every weekend. I am trying to stress to him that it is just dangerous to leave him with the woman who does not understand simple things and who does not know how to heat formula properly. She heats it in the microwave and makes it very hot, and laughs at me when I say that she could potentially burn the baby. This is just one example of many other things she does which are just unsafe. I love my husband dearly, but his mother took so much from us already. I don't want her to take our happiness and our love. It's a really tough situation for OP, especially when she doesn't have her husband's support. But in any case, OP has given us an update, so let's move on with that. My husband does not even want to consider counseling. He thinks that counseling is only designed for some kind of freaks. He says that I am the one with the issues, and if I want to, I can go to a counselor. However, he is fine and he knows what he needs, wants, and believes in. The most painful part for me is that my husband just does not see how his mom has been repeatedly insulting me for the past year. He says that she just meant the best for me and our baby, and the fact that she was saying those things and calling me every day with some nonsensical instructions meant that she just loved her grandson too much and cared about him a lot. My uncle, my mom's brother, is a doctor. So naturally, we have been consulting him a lot during the first few months of my baby's life. Oh, she got so mad! How could we disregard her experience? Experience? Right. And her knowledge. What? This lady has never read a single book on childcare. She claims that all doctors are very stupid and all they care about is money. She says that if we listened to her, our son would be better off. Just to give you one example of something that she said so that you have an idea of how ignorant this lady is. I weaned my baby from the breast because I had to leave town for a few days. But after I came back, I felt very guilty. He was 10 months then. I saw that he missed the comfort of breastfeeding, and after talking with my breastfeeding consultant, I decided to try to nurse him again. And he was so happy about it. Anyway, when I told my mother-in-law that, she started accusing me of poisoning my baby because the milk could go bad in my breasts. Insert facepalm here. Well, this woman has been giving me advice all along and insisted that the advice be followed. As far as my husband is concerned, he feels that he can trust her. He feels that she will never do anything again that will not be in agreement with our rules. He says that he wants to feel free to take the baby, go to his parents, then leave the baby overnight whenever he wants, occasionally he says. He told me that he loves me, but that he also loves his mom, and he will never let me or anyone else hurt his mom. He says that if he truly felt that his mom has been insulting me, he would stand up for me, but he did not see that, and that, for some reason, bothers me the most. He told me a long time ago that between his mom and me, he will always take his mom's side. Having said that, I am still not comfortable with leaving my baby for the weekend at her place. However, I work 1-2 weekends per month, and my husband already said he was not going to sit home alone with the baby. He said he would take the baby to his mom's house on these weekends. When I asked him what if I really want to see, hug, or kiss my baby after a long day at work, he told me that then I could go to his mom's house. He doesn't think it's a big deal. Our son spends a lot of time at my folks' place. Why can't he leave him with my mom? However, I leave my baby with my mom only when both of us are at work. I dread approaching these weekends. Why can't we just visit his parents once in a while? Why do we have to leave the baby with them? And why is it supposed to be so often? This is my new normal, I guess. My mother-in-law is very fake, and she has that special ability to twist every story around so that it is in her favor. Can you tell that I don't like her? In case there's doubt, I don't. Well, I'm going to venture a guess and say that this marriage has a timer on it. And I'm just basing this assumption on the fact that he told her a long time ago that between his mommy and her, that he would always take his mommy's side. That to me is a huge red flag. I know it sounds pessimistic, but unless he decides to go to counseling with his wife, or by some miracle he changes his perspective and decides to support his wife, then yeah, I think this marriage has its days counted. What about you guys? What do you think? Alright, and with that, let's move on to the final story. Dear husband and I are from the same hometown and started dating when we were both 23. We are 28 now. He was finishing his graduate degree and I had just come home from an overseas volunteer assignment. We were both living with our parents to save money. My dear husband has 2 younger sisters that still live at home, now 24 and 26. After a few dates with dear husband, he invited me to his parents' house. I used to think my husband was an alien because he was so kind and different from his family. My mother-in-law is a negative, pessimistic, big, bossy, controlling woman, and her daughters are younger versions of her. My father-in-law is a sweet but passive and meek man. Mother-in-law's entire sense of identification has been her kids. She never worked outside the house, and she openly states that her marriage comes second to her relationship with her children. My dear husband is the oldest, and he is her pride and joy. The oldest sister-in-law acts like she's married to dear husband. She has never had a boyfriend of her own. My mother-in-law intimidates everyone in her family, and she is so manipulative and sneaky. The sister-in-law once told me that when they all grow up, okay, I thought early 20s was grown up, she will be sad because her mom will be all alone. This is what mother-in-law has been telling them all their life. Anyway, these were the household dynamics that I had to deal with. My presence represented the first kid possibly leaving the nest, and they did everything in their power to prevent that. They eyed me up and down, ignored me, talked about me like I wasn't there, and didn't even smile if I made a joke. They only wanted to talk about things they shared, and never asked about me or things dear husband and I had done. It was all so uncomfortable. I got the message early on that I wasn't welcome. Dear husband would pick me up for a date and sister-in-law would be sitting in the front seat. Dear husband would say mother-in-law suggested sister-in-law accompany her brother. Dear husband would cancel or show up late for dates because mother-in-law or sister-in-law needed something taken care of, and he didn't see any of this behavior as strange. I finally said enough is enough, and I broke up with him. I let him know that I refused to be a mistress to his mothers or sisters. It was hard to do because I loved him so much. About 2 weeks later, dear husband called me and said he realized everything at once and didn't want to lose me. It was amazing. He started standing up to his mothers and sisters more. He moved out of his parents' house and in with a buddy of his. He proposed a year after he moved out. I remember how disappointed mother-in-law acted when we told her. She just said, "Oh, isn't that nice?" The engagement started a whole new year of crap with his family. Mother-in-law kept asking about our photographer because she wanted to be sure to get pictures of her family on the wedding day that didn't include me. The sister-in-laws, despite having been nothing but rude to me over the prior 2 years, expected to be 2 of my bridesmaids. I gave in and asked them. A mistake I still regret. The Christmas of our engagement year was a huge drama. Mother-in-law and sisters-in-law wanted to celebrate it without somebody extra there because it would be their last time with just their family. Fortunately, my dear husband stood up to that one and said if he couldn't bring me, he wouldn't come. They finally said, "Fine, bring her." But I didn't want to spend my holiday where I wasn't welcome. And my dear husband understood that, so we didn't go that year. The in-laws acted like dear husband was dying by being in mourning, rather than ever acting happy about dear husband moving on and being in love. After we married, they continued to pester us every step of the way. My dear husband finished his education and we made the decision to move to another city where he could take a job with a company he liked. Mother-in-law went nuts about that one, saying how hurt she was that he should consult his family for guidance. We bought a house a year later, and the newest thing is mother-in-law being opinionated about how we spend our money. We've only been married for 2 years now, and we decided 6 months ago to see a therapist to learn how to better deal with his family. It has been helpful and I would recommend it to anyone dealing with in-law problems. My dear husband puts our marriage first, but I know at times he still feels conflicted from years of psychological conditioning by his mother. The drama with them never seems to stop, but at least we are very aware of it and realize they won't change, but how we react and handle them can change. We still get stressed out a lot over them, but I'm so glad we are addressing the issues. Well, there's not much to say here except congratulations, OP. You stood up for what you wanted, and in turn your husband got the message, and now you both are standing together as a couple. And that's great, so congratulations and hope it keeps working. And so, we've reached the end of the video once again. If you liked it, go ahead and click like. If you did like it and you still haven't subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to visit the Lost Genre subreddit where you can cross-post stories from other subs for me to feature in videos. Or if you feel comfortable sharing your story, you can do that too. And having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.